jainworld.com 25 years of service to Jainism.
Jai Jinendra, good evening and welcome you all. Today we'll be talking about Uttam Brahmacharya, celibacy, chastity. Sadade ruveya gandheya rase fase taheyava panchavi he kama gune nichayo parivajaye. In the 9 days, we have seen a various aspect of our self-purification. Blossoming of our inner self, flowering of our inner self, and we talked about 9 petals of our attributes, our qualities. And today is a climax day. We are talking about the 10th and the final and the selection parva of 2020. The whole object of self-purification is twofold. One is a long-term spiritual goal, and the second, short-term, where we expect immediate results, is where our day-to-day life will become much better. We have a lot of stress and strain in today's lifestyle. There is uncertainty, fear, anxiety. There is inferiority complex, enmity, revengefulness, and whole lot of other negative factors. And with the help of self-purification, we will be in a much better position to handle all this negativity. We will be much more confident. We'll have much more skills to handle the odd situations. And that will bring us peace of mind, tranquility, bliss, and it will sort of give us chance for the festivity, celebration, creativity, and ability to convert these negative energies into the positive. Like anger will be converted into the love and friendship, and other factors will be converted into caring and giving and sharing. And this is, we are working on these two goals in parallel. So first 4 days, first 4 petals, we saw the antidotes for anger, ego, deceit, greed. And then we went into the Appana Satcha Meseja, that is, discover the truth yourself, because in doing that, you will get the Atmanubhuti. And unless you get the Atmanubhuti, your religiousness is not much meaningful. As Bhagwan Mahavir said, you need to go from Bahir-Atma to Unter-Atma, transcended from outer to inner, and then do the purification so that you get your own Atmanubhuti. And it is the Atmanubhuti which is going to bring the change. And we want to do self retrospection and identify the areas where we need to change ourselves, bring the transformation. And so, Apana Satya Message is a essential part of that, and that will tell us whether we are on the right path or we are on the wrong path. And then we went to the austerities so that we conserve our energies from being utilized on non-productive and negative things. And after that, we went into the tapa penance, and we saw why we need a lot of energy to be created and why we need the ability to set the fire with that energy. Because we saw that the purification of gold, as it requires a lot of energy, so the purification of our impurities needs a lot of energy and a lot of fire. And so tapa will give us that, and tyaga is basically, renunciation of unwanted things. We accumulate so many things and we get attached to so many unwanted things, which makes us very heavy. And with renunciation, we basically get rid of as many unwanted things as possible. Definitely, all the things which we need for our ajivika, those are definitely needed, and we need to make sure that we support our family properly with a proper standard of living and give them all the facility. But in the tyaga, we want to drop out all the unwanted things. And then we went to akinchanya, which basically we said dissolving your personality. Because there are several layers of our personality which are built in relation to what we are in the outer, in relation to our body, and in relation to our mind. And so at this level, we found the ways to dissolve our body. Personalities, different personalities are there, and they are at much deeper level than the body and mind. Our habits are there, our certain things which are in unconscious mind and subconscious mind, and they become a lot of burden. So once we dissolve all those layers, now we are like thin air. So our mobility is very, very high, and we can go anywhere without obstruction, and we are not becoming obstruction to anybody. Like the air is not obstruction to anybody, everything can move around through the air. And so both the objectives we have achieved through the akinchanya dharma, and we call it as dissolving the personalities. So now we are very light, and we have done all these things. So we are ready for the climax. And in this climax, which is brahmacharya, we are going to learn some more tricks and tools and techniques so that we can move still at a little higher level. And in the process, we'll try to have a little much better understanding of what the brahmacharya is. So basically, a brahmacharya, the first thing comes to our mind is the kama vasana, that is the sex, act of sex and other things. So it is, a matter of fact that we are born out of sex of our parents. And another fact is that we have the sex energy inside us, and that is the only energy we have. And when we matured, that sex energy is very, very, dominant. And it is, because it is integral part of our being, it is in every part of our body. And if we remain connected only with our body, then there is no way we can transcend the sex and become go into the brahmacharya mode. So the solution is that we find the ways to transcend it and purify this sex energy and change the direction of the sex energy to upward. As we have seen earlier, uh, when um, our Chetan Shakti is predominantly dominated by the Mohaniya karma, which brings in like and dislike and krodh, man, maya and love, anger, ego, and all other things. So that energy is flowing downward, and we have seen that it is, if it is between the navel center and the uh, Muladhara, that is where the bioenergy is being generated. So if it lies between those two, then we are filled with the negativities. But if we are able to sort of make it urdhvagami, to make it move upward and bring it to the level of anahat kendra or ananda kendra, then we start getting into the positive aspects of our Chetan Shakti. And definitely to transcend our sex energy or kama urja, we need to move much higher than that. We have to come to the Ajna Chakra, third eye. And when we are able to reach to that level, we get the tools and techniques and ability to transcend that energy into positive. So we'll come to that in a little bit time. But first, let us understand a little bit about uh, that it is not just the touch sensation, but all the five sensations are getting involved into this. So a man went to Bharat Chakravarti, and Bharat Chakravarti had a sort of arrangement that somebody who comes first in the morning and meets him, his wish will be fulfilled. So this man went early morning and he was the first. And so Bharat Chakravarti asked him, "Yeah, what do you want?" And he said, "I heard that your queen's palace is very, very beautifully decorated and there are a lot of good things. And so I want to see that palace and I want to see the queen when she's fully dressed and, with all the ornaments and other things. And I want to taste the food there, you know. So this is my simple request." And Bharat Chakravarti told him that, "Okay, you come tomorrow morning 8 o'clock because tomorrow there is a special festival there. And so the whole palace will be nicely decorated and there will be a lot of flower decoration. So there will be good fragrance all around and there will be nice music being played. And the queen would have dressed in a special dress and there will be dance and other items going on and special food will be there. So, but you come 8 o'clock because it will take 4 to 5 hours for you to see everything. And I don't want you to miss anything because since you are going, you should see everything and enjoy that." And so this man came next day 8 o'clock and Bharat Chakravarti called two soldiers and said, please accompany him. And he told the man, say, look, I have one small condition. And the man said, okay, any condition, because I need to see this and enjoy that. So he said, this is a bowl. He gave him one bowl, and this is filled with oil, completely filled. There is no space even for a single drop of oil to be added there. So my only condition is that you take this bowl with you and make sure that you don't spill even a drop. If you spill a drop, these two soldiers, they are coming with you and they will be carrying the swords, open swords in their hand. And the moment a drop is fallen from this, they have orders to cut off your head. So this man now takes the bowl filled with oil, and then he is going, and after 5 hours he comes back. So Bharat Chakravarti is waiting for him, and he says, I hope you enjoyed everything. You enjoyed the food, and you enjoyed the music, and you enjoyed the dance and the fragrance, and you have seen you must have seen and enjoyed the decoration, and I hope you spend enough time looking at the queen and how her dresses are so beautiful and her ornaments and her makeup and everything. So this man said, sorry sir, but all along, I couldn't enjoy any of these things. And Bharat Chakravarti said, why? I gave you 5 hours. He said, no, but I was already only focused on this bowl which is filled with the oil, because even one drop falls down, my life was at stake. So, even though he had all the things he wanted to enjoy, but he was overwhelmed with the threat of death. And so this shows that the pleasure is not in the things. We put the pleasure in them. And if the situation is like there is a threat to your life, the same things, they do not give any pleasure or any enjoyment. So this is one important thing we have to remember when we are talking about brahmacharya, that the pleasure is not there in the things, or not there in the other person, or not there in the other body. We put there. We sort of, imagine that it is there. And this is one very, very important factors to be remembered. And it is not just only the touch sensation, but all the 5 are involved when we are talking about the desires and wants to be fulfilled. And so the important step here is that you have to get disconnected with the because when you see a certain things, there is some vibrations created, and those vibrations, sensory organs will pick up, and a bunch of cells which have the duty to transmit this to the brain, they will transmit that to the brain, and brain will process it and understand, and then it will send it to the another part of the brain, which is the action center, and then that action center will issue the instructions for the action, and that action is taken for the body part. For example, if I am touching some very, very hot thing, so suddenly my that sensation will be recorded, and then other bunch of cells will pass it on to the brain. Brain will say, oh, this is very, very hot, and send it to the action center, which will say, oh, this is very hot, so please withdraw the finger quickly. So I will withdraw the finger, but it has gone through all the processes. The same way, the pleasure will go through all these processes. So we need to analyze and find out and intercept this. So these vibrations are going on, and when that action part is returning, so we need to intercept that and then say that we will not send this back. So this way we remain disconnected with the body sensory things. So you may be eating the food, but now you are aware and watching, and you may be seeing the flower, and the flower is there, but for you, will not put the qualifier that this flower is beautiful. And so this is how we want to keep analyzing, and then we are able to understand that it is not the sensory organs or the body or that is giving us the pleasure. So as we have seen earlier, that it is the chitta part which is really, giving the instructions and which is controlling everything. And chitta will, so when these vibrations are going back, chitta will send back the feedback. And so if chitta is, let's slightly understand little bit on the chitta level. So we had yesterday discussed a little bit how the mind and chitta are different and how they are connected. So just to quickly revise, that mind is just the mechanism which is there, and chitta will supply the energy, and mind will accordingly work. So it gets the instructions from the chitta, and accordingly the mind will do a good thing or a bad thing. So mind is just a mechanism, and chitta is the master, mind is the servant, and based on the instruction receiving from chitta, mind will simply act either in a good way or in a bad way. And then those sensation or those vibrations are sent further to the body level. So it is for us to make sure that those vibrations are intercepted at the chitta level. We will in a little while we'll see what are the different types of chitta and how they are controlled, so that we are able to go one level deeper or one level higher in our purification process. But as for now, so we sort of know that this is a thing, the vibration coming from deeper inside. And if, as we have seen earlier, we go through the Kayotsarga process, that is Manogupti, Vachanagupti and Kaya Gupti. So we go through the Kayotsarga process. So we are able to sort of disconnect from the body. We are able to disconnect from the mind and thinking process. So all that which we think is coming because of the body, that will get intercepted. So that is very, very important for us to know, and we will shortly go into more detail on that. So if we do certain things, we get into a habit. So let us say we do an act of sex, and then it goes deep inside our subconscious and unconscious mind and forms a habit, and then we get a sort of sensation to do repeat it again and again and again. But what happens is, now here is the problem, and here is why we get sort of miserable, or we get the pain and suffering, because there are two situations. One is we want to repeat it and we are not able to repeat it for whatever reason, because the other party is not ready, or it's not there, or whatever reason. So now we get the anxiety and we get frustration, and so we suffer because of that. But let us say we are able to repeat that. So as we keep repeating, the theory of diminishing returns comes into play. So every time you repeat it, the pleasure, whatever we call as a pleasure, received from that is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And a point will come where you will feel, oh, there is nothing much left into that. So either way, from this type of act, which is repetitive, so if you cannot do it, you get the pain, misery and suffering. If you are able to do it, still you are getting frustrated, because now it is below your expectation level. So that's why we need to move out from the body level and then go to the inner. And we have seen that the process is through the Kaya circle. Now, especially with the karma energy or the sex energy, there is an attraction between the male body and a female body, which is natural at the body level, and it is very, very strong force. And so we do some tricks and techniques for social distancing, keep the distance, and all other austerity measures there, so that that attraction is minimized. But let us go a little deeper into this. And as we have seen, if we go into inner, so we transcended our body, our thinking process and mind. And so let us say we go to the Tejas body. As we know, our outer body, physical body, then there is a Tejas body, and still deeper, microscopic, is a karma body. So we go to the Tejas body level. So now, in Tejas body, if we are there, there is no male or female classification. It is not a physical body. That classification comes in the physical body. And so the attraction is there between the opposite sex. But once you are in Tejas body, then I think you will get much better control on your sex energy. Because now the energy is neutral. It's neither male or nor female. And so that male versus female attraction, that factor is sort of minimized. So from there, now we say that brahmacharya is when you are close to your Atma, when you are sort of embedded into your Chetan Shakti. So it is easier said than done. And so we'll see what is one of the techniques we will use to go to there. So we have seen that Chitta is what is controlling the mind and other things. And so we need to understand Chitta in more detail. And last lecture we saw how we distinguish between mind and Chitta so that we are on the right path and not going after the mind, but we are along with the Chitta. Chitta has three parts basically. So we say one is a Jnana Chetana, or in Hindi we call it as a Jnana, but it is Jnana. So Jnana Chetana, Karma Chetana, and Karma Phala Chetana. And let us little bit understand this so we know how we go at a higher level to be having a better control on our brahmacharya. So, karma chetna is basically you are doing some acts, like you are eating the food, or you are seeing certain things, and you are doing all other things. That is karma chetana. So when you are eating the food, you will say, oh, this is good, I enjoy it, I want it more. Or some item comes which you dislike, so you say, oh, this is no good, I don't want this more, and like that. So this is basically a karma chetana. And so you are sort of getting associated with what's happening. Karma phala chetna is basically another dimension, which is where you are thinking that, oh, if I get this, and it will be good, and if I get that, it will be good, and I should always have this, and I need to have this. So you are talking about the results of a punya karma, that okay, if my punya karma comes to fruition, I will get this, or I should get this. So this is basically karma phala chetana. And now is the jnana chetana. So when you are not in either of the two, then you are centered completely with your Chetan Shakti. And when you are completely centered in your Chetan Shakti, pure Chetan Shakti, that is what is known as Jnana Chetana, because that is the time you have a sort of glimpse of the real knowledge. So Jnana, we need to sort of little bit understand, is much different than what we call in English as a knowledge. We have to understand this difference so that our purification process doesn't go wrong. So the knowledge in the Bahir-Atma, because that is in Bahir-Atma, and that is basically collection of information and what you have put in your memory, and then your ability to retrieve that and give it to mind for analysis and correlation and retrieving the information and projecting it and all those mind functions. So that is basically a knowledge which is in your outer, and it is basically collection of information. That is not your own knowledge. This is borrowed, either from the books you read, or your teacher taught you, or your parents taught you, or you learned some way. And this jnana, which we are talking in internal, is basically we get from the Chetan Shakti and out of the Atmanubhuti, and that helps us to know what is real and what is not real. We saw the Veda Vigyan part, that we analyze the things not only from the broader perspective, but also with the microscopic level and other things. And so this jnana is linked to basically our Chetan Shakti. So what happens is, when you are centered in the jnana chetana, then you are above all this, and that is where you are really in a brahmacharya. You are now being integrated with your Chetan Shakti for those many moments. Initially, it will be few moments, but slowly, as your purification level increases, you can sort of increase that. So, our ability to remain in the Jnana Chetana really is the key to be in the Uttam Brahmacharya, to be attached to your Chetan Shakti or the Atma Shakti. So in the purification we were talking about sort of some other things. So many times we look at the outer things and imagine something is happening, and when we are centered in Jnana Chetna, then that part can be avoided. So for example, when somebody is touching, a man is sort of touching a woman, so we may just think that that is not a proper act or whatever. But once these two monks were traveling, a senior monk going little ahead and the junior monk following him about few steps behind, maybe, you know. And as they were traveling, and it started raining heavily, and by the time they approached the river, they had to cross a river, so river was flooded. And on the bank of the river, a young woman was waiting. She was stranded and she couldn't cross the current. And this senior monk reached there and she requested, "Sir, can you take me to the next bank on the across the river and drop me there? And I have to go home because my a small child must be hungry and crying for the milk." And this monk refused. He said, "No, no, I can't touch a woman." And so sorry. And he crossed the river and he went. Then the young monk followed. In few minutes he reached there. The senior monk had crossed the river and he started walking further. And the woman repeated the same request to this young man. So this young man lifted her, put her on his shoulder, and swam through the very high current and reached the other bank and dropped her and said, "Now you can go home." And he started walking. The senior monk saw what he has done. And then they were walking and the senior monk was quiet. After 10 minutes, he said, "See, what you have done is not correct. You lifted the young girl and touched her and all that, so it is against these rules, and I'm going to tell our teacher what you have done, and there will be punishment for you." And so they were going, and the young monk reached faster and he told the teacher what has happened. And then the senior monk came and he complains, "You need to punish this young monk because he did this. And the teacher said that yes, the punishment must be given, but that punishment must be given to you, the senior monk, and not the junior. Because the junior monk brought the woman on this shore and left her, and he forgot about it. You didn't touch the woman, but still in your mind and your thoughts, she is predominant." So this is how a outer action may look like it is not there, or you may think that just because there is a physical distance, I am following the celibacy. So it is much deeper. You need to go to the not only mind, but to the chitta level. And at the chitta level, you have to analyze whether it is karma chetna, karma phala chetna, or jnana chetna. So, if you are centered in jnana chetna, then it doesn't matter, because the act you have done for saving the life of that person. So, our desire, passion, wants, we need to sort of move it at a higher level and higher level, where we can sort of remain not dominated by those things, but we are in control. And so our objective is, if we want to be in a real brahmacharya, to be centered in jnana chetana. So we'll spend a little more time on one more aspect of jnana chetana, and then we will take the other point. So we know that there are bhav which is coming in, and see, let us start from the beginning. So there is a Atma, and the Chetan Shakti, pure Chetan Shakti is coming from there, and Karman body is there, and Karma Vipak coming from there. That influx into the Chetan Shakti makes it impure, and so we say there is a Devasai, and after Devasai there is a sort of Bhavana, and then there is a Lesha, and then Lesha, and then we come down to the Tejas body, and then the physical body. So Lesha also is basically electromagnetic energy. So whole spectrum is different types of energies, and as we have seen earlier, the whole thing is managing our energy in the most proper way. So when the lesha is depends on what type of bhavanas are there, and depending on that lesha, our abhamandal, our halo will be sort of decided what color it takes. And accordingly the energy will follow down. So in purification process, we have seen that we have to move the energy upward, and as more up and up, so we get the purity. And one more purification process we should consider is the meditation on the lesha dhyan. So lesha dhyan will help us to purify, and this is one of the very important tools available to us. So let us spend a little time on how that works. So we know that there is an electric force, electricity, there is a magnetic force, and there is a mechanical movement. So if there is a magnetic force and electric current, so that is the electric motor, and then it will produce the mechanical movement. And in another machine, which is generating set, there is a mechanical movement, and there is a magnetic field by way of rotor and stator, and then it will produce the electric current. And same way, electric current and mechanical movement, and we can produce the magnetic field. So with any two, we can produce the third force. And exactly same techniques we use in the lesha dhyan meditation. So we have the electromagnetic field, which we are calling as a lesha, and it has a certain color. So let us say it is, so there are 6 leshas. Let us quickly recap that. So Krishna lesha, Nila lesha, Kapota lesha, Pita lesha, Padma lesha, and Shukla lesha. The 3 down are impure leshas and 3 up are pure leshas. So let us say we are in the Nila lesha. So the electromagnetic field will be very very bad quality. There will be a lot of dark color in that. Now before the vibrations go down to, let us say, the Tejas body, or so before that, if we focus and we can purify the lesh by using lesha, so this color is there. So by meditation, by dhyana, we bring another color there and make it say pita, shining gold color. So once we bring it to pita color, so now the color is changed, so accordingly the bhavna will change. So bhavna, which was impure and giving the impure color, now we brought in the bright and pure color, and accordingly we purified the bhavna. So Lesha Dhyan is one of the very important tool available to us to do the purification. So now we can remain attached to the Jnana Chetana rather than moving to the Karma Chetana or the Karma Phala Chetana. So this is one of the important purification method which is available, and once you get to some level of expertise in a dhyana, and it is not difficult. I mean, with some practice, some good practice and dedication, you can really get a good amount of skills into this. And as you spend more and more time, then you can improve the skill, and then the purification process can be handled much better way. So so in this sort of chastity or brahmacharya, our goal is to be with the Chetan Shakti as much as possible, so the influence of the negative influence of the sex energy, the Kama Shakti, is minimized, and our ability to sort of disconnect with the body and disconnect with the mind and thought process will help us in a very very big way to remain at that level. And once we are at that level, then our karma bandha out of these things will be minimized, and the impurity which is coming because of the karma vipak, we are able to sort of manage it using the lesha dhyan methods. So this is how we have to maintain our higher level of purity. So we talked about several methods, and I thought these two analysis and the bhava coming out of that. So when you are at the pure Chetan energy, so we say that we have the paramanik bhava. So in the bhava there are 5 types. Avdarik, when we are totally attached with the body and there is the most impure, and then there is a Aupashamik and Kshayopashamik and Kshayik and Paramanik. So Paramanik is a pure, and our objective has to remain in the Paramanik Bhav, that is to remain as much as possible with the pure Chetan Shakti. So this is one more angle of looking at it, and I thought it is useful because we were trying to go into deeper aspect of how we purify and how we maintain ourselves at the higher level of purity, so that we can be in the real brahmacharya, that is in sort of embedded in our pure Chetan Shakti. So 10 days of purification or inner blossoming of our flower with the 10 petals. And as we have seen, the flowering process is one. For a better understanding, we have taken 10 petals one at a time. But as we have seen in the beginning, the flowering process is one. It is the one flower with the 10 petals that is blossoming. And with this blossoming, it is our immediate goal of reducing stress, strain, uncertainty, fear, anxiety, depression, inferiority complex, enmity, and all the kashai, krodman, mayalo, and all that, and likes and dislikes, that will dramatically change, and all that negativity, we will move on to the positive aspects of the life, and we'll have creativity, peace of mind, tranquility, great confidence, greater ability to handle the situation in a cool, controlled, and confident way. And that way our life will dramatically change. So two goals: long term spiritual goal, short term bringing and making our life much better. So this is the climax, as we say, because this is where we go to the much higher level. And so today is the last day, but some of us will think that yes, now it is after 1 year that I will get back into the purification process. And if we do that, it will be an unwise decision, because having reached to this height of purity with so much efforts in the 10 days, we must find ways and means to maintain this purity. And friends, if you just spend 20 minutes per day, only 20 minutes per day of a deeper meditation, if you can go to the nirvikalpa level, that is the ideal. But even if not totally nirvikalpa, a little below that, so only 20 minutes per day, and with that 20 minutes, all your 24 hours, you have the ability to remain in the positive side of your Chetan Shakti. Just the 20 minutes. And if you are able to spend more, then you can still improve your purity level. And next time you come next year for 10 days of a focused purification, you would start at much higher level. But please try to maintain this purity level, spending just 20 minutes, and 20 minutes are enough. So with this, friends, I wish you all the very best in your pursuit of inner purity, inner flowering, inner blossoming, and that is where all the benefits will come. Om.
jainworld.com 25 years of service to Jainism.